Yo, what's up, everybody? So, I know my name is Faith, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna react to this video by James Blackwell. If you're watching this video, you probably know about James Blackwell, but you might not know about me. And if you do know about me, then that's great. I'm gonna just react to this video, and yeah, I'll just get straight into the video because it will make more sense when we get there. So, yeah, let's start this. Let's start this. Let's start this right now.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing what 15 years as an entrepreneur has really taught me about life, money, and freedom. So I've spent 15 years chasing money, but here's what it actually taught me about freedom and true wealth. So I'm going to be sharing today some reflections.
And this is what this video is going to be about. You know, here you have an entrepreneur who's made $30 million, yet he wants to speak about what true wealth actually is. So yeah, let's just get right, let's get into it, and you'll hear my opinion
lessons on why financial success alone doesn't necessarily deliver lasting freedom and fulfillment, because I've really walked that path. So since I've started all my companies over 10 years ago, I've generated over $30 million within those businesses and very high profit margins. So I've managed to build a net worth of 8 figures, and I've learned a lot over that journey. I realized over that journey, just chasing the status play and more money without this deep emotional spirituality and sovereignty. And those lessons have taught me that.
You know, when I started off my entrepreneurship journey, I remember I'd always hear millionaires talk about how, it's not all about the money. It's not all about the money. It's not all about the money. And I always used to think, like, how dare you? Like, how dare you have the audacity to say it's not all about the money, because you've made it though. You've got the millions and all of this. So you can say you've at least got there. So you can say it's not all about the money. But, actually now doing it, grossing $1 million in revenue, making hundreds of thousands, ticking off everything that I've wanted to do off my list, I'm now saying the same thing. And the thing is, I feel like I'm saying it a lot earlier than, where he is, for example, because he's at 30 million. I'm nowhere near that. He said he's at 8 figures in net worth. I'm nowhere near that. And this is what people miss. Like, you're actually, like, you're chasing the wrong thing. It's not money that you're chasing. It's the things that money can give you. There's a verse in the Bible, it's in Ecclesiastes 3:9. It says, money answers everything. And I used to live and die off that scripture. I used to be like, yeah, cool, money answers everything, so I should just get money. Like, that should be what I should focus on, 100 million% focus on getting money, because money answers everything. Right? Wrong. Money doesn't answer everything. Money answers, in the words of Naval says, money answers money problems. I say money answers physical things, but only spiritual things can answer spiritual problems. And you see, what you try and do is you try and use money to solve spiritual problems, and it will never do that. We'll get into it more as the video goes.
Without deep emotional sovereignty and true meaningful purpose, and most importantly, my relationship with God. I used to go to church many years ago, and I stopped doing that when I was like around about 13, 14. And I've always been very spiritual with a God, but not necessarily back to my Christian beliefs. And it was only very recently that I started to really feel that missing void. So I felt this missing void for probably the last 2 or 3 years. And I realized that was my relationship with God and my practicing of going to church and reading the Bible. So that was one of the key things. But back on my mindset shifts on money. So really in the early years.
And I'll speak a lot more about it because he's hit the nail on the head. He said it right there. Like, it all comes down to your relationship with God. There's probably some people here who don't believe and things like that, and that's completely fine. And there's some people here who may think they have a relationship with God, but you don't actually have one. And again, the reason why this really hits at home for me is because I was someone who I've never really grown up seeing anybody who had a strong relationship with God. Most people that I saw growing up that had a strong relationship with God were poor. They were poor. Everybody who I saw had a strong relationship with God were poor. So I always associated people who were rich had no relationship with God. Yet here I am listening to somebody, we're all listening to somebody who's made $30 million, but talking about the most important thing that he's found is his relationship with God. And I don't know if I feel like I should talk about it now. I will. I'll talk about it briefly now, but we'll go more into it as the video goes by. And the point I want to make is this. Look, this is how the world works. If everybody should know the story of Adam and Eve. If you don't, I'll describe it to you right now. In the beginning, God created the world, and he created Adam and Eve, and he put them into the Garden of Eden. And in this Garden of Eden, they were there, and God told them, don't eat this fruit. They ate the fruit, they sinned, and then God kicked them out of the Garden of Eden. Now, what does the Garden of Eden represent? Eden, when we look at the Hebrew meaning of it, the Garden of Eden literally means presence. That's God's presence. So what's the point I'm trying to make? And man has been kicked out of that. And now the Bible is the story of how man has been trying to get back into the Garden of Eden and yada, 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 back into God's presence. That's literally that's the story of the world, whether you want to believe it or not. So man has been trying, when I say man, I mean man and woman, humankind has been trying to get back into God's presence. And they've tried every single way to do that. But there is only one way, and I'll get into that later. But what most of you are doing, or most of you think you should do, is you think that you can buy your way back into God's presence. So you have spiritual problems, and again, I'll get into that. I'll go into what I'm talking about deeper. But you have all these different problems, and you think that the way to solve them is by money. And by the way, but the way to solve them is by God's presence, is by getting back into the Garden of Eden. And there's only one way you can get back into there, and I'll get into that later. But that's something that he's discovered. And I hope that from this video, you can discover it before you go on your journey of prosperity. It's better for you to discover it now and find out the plan that God has for you now before you try and go on this journey of trying to solve it for another means, and then that fails.
Of my business, I honestly believe that money was freedom itself. So I was mistaken the resource of money for true sovereignty. And Naval Ravikant, one of the mentors I love to follow, if you haven't read his books, I really recommend to do. He says that money doesn't solve all problems, but it solves all your money problems. And that is definitely true. So without money, I wouldn't be able to support my family, build a great team and structure, and do the things that I wanted to do in life, and travel around the world and pick where I would choose to live. I'm actually here back in my home headquarters here in Newcastle in one of my businesses, my recruitment agency that I first started 11 years ago now. So that's bringing back a lot of memories. It's actually quite an interesting discovery coming back, because when you've grown so much and you've built a different life out in Dubai and Marbella and London and these places, coming back to where it all started it's quite a different energy, let's say that. So it's quite different coming back, but there's a lot of nostalgia here, and I was looking back through all of the books that I had here, and even looking back through some of the notes of when I was trying to make my first £20,000-30,000 a month in the agency, then 100k a month. And wow, the journey that I've been on over those years has been very interesting, and that's why I wanted to share just some wisdom with you. This is just shooting from the hip. I don't really have much of a script or something to get clicks on YouTube. It's just giving you raw advice from an 8-figure entrepreneur. So that was so the early years was just all about money, and I was very focused on that. And that mid-journey realization came when I achieved all my financial goals. So I hit all of the money.
Before I just go into that, like you heard him there just say, like, money only answers like money problems. And you guys have seen my screen, so let me just show you something real quick. See, there's something called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's basically a human needs system. Like, what are your needs as a human being? Let's just get it up right here. So, and I'll go into more depth into this later. But at the bottom of your needs are your psychological needs. That's literally air, food, shelter, stuff like that. Then after that, you've got your safety needs. That's your personal security, your health and well-being, your financial security. By the way, we're still at the bottom. Then above that, it's your love and belonging. That's your family, friends, community. Then your esteem. That's your confidence, your self-respect, your respect for others, your reputation. And then at the highest level, it's your self-actualization. That is stuff like your purpose, your growth, your drive, your creativity, your personal growth, your moral development. That's at the very top. Money, for those who are already thinking, can you see how money can only really solve the things at the bottom? Money can never solve where your purpose and drive comes from. It can't. It can't really solve your esteem. You can try. People try and solve it with their esteem. You can try your best. You can try your best and buy your family and friends with money. See where that gets you. But you can see it's at the bottom of your needs as a human being. You understand? Let's carry on watching it.
Goals that I wanted, the things I wanted in life. So I wanted a Rolls Royce. I had the Rolls Royce Wraith. I wanted a Lamborghini. I had a Lamborghini. I wanted a penthouse apartment overlooking the beach. I had that in Dubai. Dream home, I've just ticked that box back in the UK now, which I'm going to share for a new video of moving back to the UK in the countryside in a manor house, which I'm excited to share with you maybe on another video. But I really felt this emptiness after the initial excitement wore off with all of these things, all the fancy watches, for example, all of these type of items. It kept that weight as if I was carrying a lot of weight. And I started...
I know exactly what he's talking about. And I haven't reached that level yet of buying the Rolls Royce and buying the Ferrari and buying the beautiful mansion country home. But I will reach that level because look, don't get it twisted if you're watching this video. Don't think I'm out here trying to advocate for any kind of poverty and not reaching money goals. When it comes to reaching goals around money, when it comes to hustling, when it comes to working smart, not hard, and amassing wealth, I'm the best guy to talk to. I love business. I love the game of business. I love strategy. I love systems. I love marketing. I love sales. Don't get it twisted. I'm serious about my business and I'm serious about making a ton of money. More importantly, solving problems. But what I'm more serious about is only going for these money goals if it aligns with what God wants for you. And you see, when you don't do that, this is what happens. Like, man.
Selling off a lot of those assets that I just wasn't using anymore. I had 3-4 different cars, for example. I had 4 cars, 2 of them supercars and 2 other cars. Didn't need them. Like 8 watches, didn't need them. And you seem to think...
This is what millionaires always do. I've seen a common trend now. I've seen 2 things that millionaires always do. And and what they're trying to do is they're trying to put a bandage over a wound, like a massive cut. They're trying to put a bandage over a wound. They do one of 2 things. Millionaire number one amasses massive amounts of wealth and then goes traveling. They go to Asia and go to every single country in Asia. Then they go to Africa, go to every country in Africa. They go to South America, go to every country in the Americas, North and South America, and they do Europe. What other continents are left? Oh yeah, Australia and those. What other continents are left? The world is a finite place. This is now why you're finding the billionaires, what are they trying to do? Space exploration, because they've explored all the world has to offer. That's what that's what rich person number 1 does. They go traveling, and then what do you do once you've explored every single country? There's nothing else left to explore. And then they go lost again. Millionaire number 2, they buy a bunch of materialistic things, watches, cars, houses, and then they realize, oh yeah, I can't drive all these cars at the same time. I can't wear all these watches at the same time. So what they do, they plug that solution by trying to sell all their cars, sell all their houses. That's not the solution. The solution to your spiritual problems is not, oh yeah, sell off all your cars, sell off all your watches, sell off your houses. That's not the solution. The solution isn't traveling. It's good to travel. It's really good to buy jewelry. I don't believe that the solution, because what I'm trying to say is that you're trying to solve the solution to this spiritual problem with a physical solution. You think that these rich people, I'm talking to you, Mr. Millionaire, you think that solving your problem that you have is by selling off stuff, is by traveling everywhere and spending money at this nice resort and at a nice beach. And it's nice, and I actually think you should enjoy it. I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy it. I'm saying that you think that you're not worthy enough. It's an internal state. It's something behind the scenes. You think you're not worthy enough to enjoy it, so you think you have to sell off everything. You think you're not worthy enough to enjoy it, so you think you just need to live in a 4x4 foot cube, minimalistic house. Elon Musk sold his house so he could live in a cube. This is what rich people think. One or two things. And then they start giving away all to charity. Again, charity is good. We should be giving. But all you're trying to do is plug a hole. This is why all these billionaires, we'll talk later. Let's see if we'll get there.
When you chase more money and financial goals, you need to buy more things, and that's not the case. Obviously, you want to buy experiences, but you want to create generational wealth as well.
Of course.
And the realization...
And that's what I mentioned earlier. When it comes to building wealth, you won't find somebody who's a bigger advocate for it than me. When it comes to building generational wealth, you won't find somebody who's a bigger advocate than me. Somebody that, I didn't grow up with money, I didn't grow up rich, I didn't grow up with resources, and I've been able to, by the graces and mercies of God, push and achieve a level of that for myself. You won't find a bigger advocate than me for it. But there's more to it. There's just more to it.
Wealth is having assets that earn while you sleep. So money is a transfer of time and wealth, as Naval says, and I started to realize, this was around about probably 18 months to 2 years ago, to start really investing my wealth in stocks, different assets and different asset classes, not necessarily physical things. And that was where true wealth can be measured through compounding. So a lot of you might have already seen that, obviously, if you start off with $1 million or 10 million, then it can easily compound to 100, 200, 300 million over your lifetime if it compounds between 8 to 9%. So I realized I don't want all of that money by the end of my legacy, because there's a very good book, Die With Zero. So one of my friends, Justin, recommended this book. And it talks about, like, when you're in your healthy state, that is when you can do all of the activities you want to do, whether it's going on a ski trip, or you want to go to these places in the world that you would like to see before you die. You want to be doing that early and enjoying the wealth early. So I don't want to leave my future kids hundreds of millions of pounds, because that's not going to set them up for success. So it's how much is enough is these things that go through my head. So
see, I love what he just said there. I think people need to start redefining the term of, I think a lot of people are when they talk about, I can think of a very personal thing. A lot of parents, when they talk about, I'm providing for my child, I'm providing for my child, I'm providing for my child, and wealth. And then what they will do now is they will work all day, work all the time, all of this, all of that, just so they can, buy property. And that's great, and that's so good, and that's great. But all your child is going to be left with is, I never saw dad at home, I never saw mom at home, I never got to, actually learn anything from mom and dad. So now when you pass away and your children are now growing up, this is the thing, they've got no skills. Their mindset is weak. When real adversity comes, because adversity has to come, you cannot protect. See, again, you're trying to solve, you think money answers everything. So you're trying to solve because money, for some reason you think money could solve your problems. You're trying to solve your child's future upcoming problems with money too. You think that when adversity comes, they can solve it with money. Money won't solve that. They need stress management. They need peace. Only one man can give you that peace. We'll get into him later. But you need peace. You need peace. You need the Prince of Peace. That's what you need. You need peace that surpasses all understanding. That's what you need. Not peace that comes from money. That's only gives you a certain amount. That's why there's people who have got all the money in the world, they still commit suicide. Why? So generational wealth is not amassing a bunch of money. Generational wealth is what can you give your children that can sustain them and sustain their next children. It's something that passes on. It's something deeper. It's something spiritual. It's things that you cannot see. Beautiful, man.
I spent a lot of time on different forums, A lot of my friends are very wealthy as well, and seeing what the magic number was. So my initial number was 10. Once you get that, then it's 20 or 30 will be good, and 20, 30 really set for life.
He's talking about million,
But then
by the
once
way.
you're at 30, you might want 100 because you want to still keep playing the game.
Crazy.
So these are the things that
Crazy.
I was just stuck in that cycle of playing the game, and it was like,
Crazy.
now I've done that, I want to go to 30, and then I want to go to 50 and 100. But the missing pieces is it's just not about this Instagram lifestyle where you're traveling around the world. Yes, I get to fly on private jets and enjoy those experiences and live in different places around the world. But
Which
it
is
was all
good.
like these pleasure-seeking experiences of instant gratification, or it was even just coming back to the UK and in Marbella when I was in there a few weeks ago, of actually going to a supermarket again myself instead of Dubai, getting everything delivered to your door. It was
We can
actually
talk about
refreshing
Dubai all day
to
long,
live
man.
life as a real human, as
We
it
can
were.
talk
It's
about,
like-
you know, just the other day I went to go meet a mentor of mine, multi-millionaire in property, now lives in Dubai. And he was just talking about how Dubai's made him so lazy. You know, he has a housemaid, full staffed house, you know, child for his children, maid for his children, cleaners, cooks, you name it. He's like, Dubai's made him lazy. He's like, he came back to the UK. I visited him while he was here in the UK, and you could see the hunger in his eyes. He's like, I love it here. There's real hunger here. He's like, and he told me something, and I'll leave it with you guys. When there's greed, go the opposite way. When there's fear, you go the opposite way. Everybody's going to Dubai. He actually told me something which I didn't actually understand. Right now in the UK, one thing that's happening is a lot of people are going to Dubai. This year alone, I think there'll be 17,000 millionaires that are going to go from UK to Dubai. And he actually said you should do the opposite. As all the millionaires are leaving to go from the UK to Dubai, there's opportunities now in the UK that are going to be opening up. That's what he told me. He said there's going to be a lot of opportunities that are going to be opening up. And if you can take advantage, he said the game's going to be even easier now because everyone's going to go to Dubai. And he said it's not how it is anymore. It's not where you can make money quickly there. People are going there to relax. They're just going there for the tax reasons because they've made their money. Nobody's going to Dubai to make a bunch of money. They've made it, and now they don't want to get taxed from that. They've already got their systems in play.
Actually going to do shopping and carrying the bags yourself and all of these things that you get when you were starting off and you're doing 95 and you're doing all of these things. Once you acquire more wealth, you get accustomed to a certain type of lifestyle. So it brought me back down to real reality of like how people live. And then I started to research more about in the Bible about Solomon. So King Solomon, he talks about whoever loves money never has enough, and whoever loves wealth never is satisfied with their income.
See, if you're reading this, if there's anything I want you to take away, if there's anything that I want you to take away from this, I think, and like do on the next step is please go and read Proverbs, go and read Ecclesiastes, go and read about King Solomon. Go and read, I'm gonna do a video on it. I think I'm gonna do a video, a masterclass. I'm gonna do an hour video just talking about the life of King Solomon, what you can learn from him, and everything his whole life. Because if there's any man that did it, like he was the richest person that was on this planet, full stop, period. Don't even try and compare to him. He was the richest person, and he was a king. He was a king that lived in. He was the king of Israel, and he was so rich. He was so rich. He was so rich that, you know, money would literally be on the floor, on the ground. That's how rich he was. Like, he was just so rich. And he achieved everything. He chased everything that he wanted, he got. And at the end of his life, he was there sitting and going, like, there's actually no point of chasing this thing. Genuinely. And he almost lost it all. When I mean all, I mean lose God. But he made sure he got that in the end, because that's the only thing that matters.
And that really resonated with me because it's just to end the cycle of chasing more and more success and more wealth.
Yep.
So pursuing money for its own sake is endless, and it's unsatisfying.
I love how he corrected, he added the, what's the word? The qualifier, I don't know what the word is, but he said pursuing money just for itself. Like, if you're just pursuing money just for numbers on the screen, or just so you can have more, you know, paper, more like physical dollar bills, pound notes in your hands, then that's foolish. Shouldn't just be chasing it. Just chase it. Doesn't make any sense.
Because it doesn't have this deeper purpose. So I'm at a stage now in my life where I love business, and obviously I love the team that I've got with my companies. but it's more about a longer term purpose.
Boom.
That is also my higher purpose is with God.
You see? That's literally the game. It's about a deeper purpose, and that purpose must come from the one above. Listen, guys, in the Bible, it says, look, it says, in the Bible, it says, Jeremiah chapter 1, let me just give you. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 7, I believe, says, before I formed you, in fact, let me just check it. So, I could just pull it up on the screen right now. So, before I formed you in the womb. So Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you. So just to understand that bit, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you was even formed in your mom's womb, before you was even a cell, God knew you. What is God talking about? What does he mean? What does he mean by new? What does that even mean? Okay, that word new is the same word that was used in Genesis chapters 4, I believe. Genesis chapter 4, where it says Adam knew Eve and begot Cain. What does that mean? It means Adam literally had sex with Eve. Adam had intimacy with Eve. So, and then they created something from that. That's what it means. So it's literally, if we now replace that word with intimacy, it literally says, before I formed you in the womb, I had intimacy with you. Boom. God had intimacy with you in the spiritual realm before you came here on your earthly realm. And all we're doing here is trying to get back to that intimacy with him. And we can do that through him who died on the cross. That's all we're doing here. And when we now go for wealth and we go for this business game, we're only doing it if that's what God has called us to do. Listen, it's not everybody's calling to be a multi-millionaire. And if you think it is your calling just because you think, no, I'm entitled to, that's pride, that's ego. I'll tell you for free, I know it's my calling because I know the things that the Lord wants me to build. So I know as a result of that, I am going to be a multi-millionaire. That's a fact. That's only because that's what the Lord is calling me to do. But I've come to a place that if the Lord tells me, if the Lord tells me that's not your calling, go and just be a pastor to 5 people. That's what he wants me to do. That's what I'm going to have to do. If it means I'm not going to be a millionaire, that's completely fine. Because at the end of the day, all that matters is intimacy with him. Full stop, period. It's not an easy thing that I'm saying, I know. Especially for you guys who are poor and, bro, I know what you're talking about. I've lived poverty too. I wanted to fly business class. I did it. And I'm telling you, you can still do it too. Because one thing is that God will always honor. I'll tell you that for free. God will always honor it. We can talk, man. We can talk.
So keeping everything aligned has been very important. And one of the biggest risks that I would say happened with that wasn't financial. It was actually losing myself in external validation.
Yeah.
So trying to get success, but then get the validation from others. Oh, well done, James, you've been really successful, or looking successful, whether it's on social media or people that
That's a hard... Let me finish it.
you meet. And I learned that true risk is failing to live authentically with yourself.
So
a lot of times when I was
good.
spending time living in Dubai, I wasn't really living my authentic life
self.
because everything was fancy dinners, fancy beach clubs, driving my supercars, wearing the watches, always.
Guys, what he's saying here is a hard thing. I can tell that God has broken this guy to be able to get to the point where he could even say something like this. This is a very difficult thing to do because you see, this world, it makes it so easy for you to try and get, like a lot of rich people, they really struggle to admit that they're actually just doing the thing just to get validation from other people. Like you see, okay, look, see, poor people, when I say poor people, again, and I'm talking mindset, I'm talking the poor people that, or let's say middle class people. You see, middle class people, they get validation, they try and get validation from anybody else, but they just do it stupidly. So middle class people will get validation from people by, financing cars, by, getting this house that they can't afford, by buying this Louis Vuitton and all these different brands, buying things that they can't afford to impress other people. That's what like stupid people do, like middle class people. That's what they do. They do things to make other people, to impress other people that don't care about them. Now, rich people will do things, it may not be, you know, Louis Vuitton. It may be, for example, I'll tell you one thing that I did, I tried to do that I did just to get validation from people, is I had a company that I tried to sell I was trying to sell a company for hundreds of thousands of pounds, just so I could say I sold it for hundreds of thousands of pounds. No other reason. I was trying to do that. I was trying to get external validation from everybody else, trying to say like, oh yeah, I really wanted to be able to say that. So I tried really hard. I really tried hard just to sell the company, just to say to other people, I've sold this. And rich people, they do things like that. Like they will, you know, buy a company just to be able to say to other rich people that we do that. So they're smart with their money. Don't get it twisted. They're very smart with their money. But they will only do things now, again, just to get the pat on their back. They will buy a company. They will do big things that they know that people like who are middle class can't do. They will buy companies. They will, you know, do, you know, extravagant. They will go to the moon. You know, that's what Jeff Bezos is doing now. Go to the moon, go to the stars. They will do things, you know, they will try and solve world hunger, which is a good thing. Please, guys, don't get it twisted. That's what like the ultra mega rich people do. They will do like the crazy things. But guys, what I'm just trying to say is that, not everyone's gonna understand this. You see, solving world hunger is good, but Jesus said the poor will always be with you. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that people will prioritize. I've got to make sure my phone's still on, or if this, yeah, I'll cut this bit out. People are prioritizing a goal that they've set for themselves to validate themselves instead of going for the goal that God actually set for them. I'm telling you right now, there's rich people out there who are doing crazy. They're building 500 schools, but they still haven't forgiven, you know, this guy that they haven't forgiven somebody that's done them wrong 10 years ago. You know, they haven't forgiven, and they can't find, and they would love to forgive. They would love to forgive that person, but they just can't bring themselves to forgive that person. You know, like, guys, like a friend of mine told me, you know, literally very, very recently that they had to, you know, forgive some people in their heart. These were people that done them wrong when they were like 8 years old, like when they were really young, super, super young. And they had to forgive those people in their heart. And they were able to now, and that was a spiritual problem that they had, and they just got a spiritual answer. They were able to forgive those people. But there are people now out there who, you know, fantastic things. They're solving world hunger, peace, world peace, doing all these crazy, great things that they can do with money. But they wouldn't be able to do that. They wouldn't be able to do that. In fact, they're the kinds of people that they would rather give the people £1 million, you know, but they wouldn't be able just to find forgiveness. I'm going to react to that Shannon Sharpe stuff, man. You know, I'm going to react to that CEO, the CEO that cheated on his wife. You see, these are things, man, like spiritual problems that people are trying to solve with money. Like, I'm going to react to Jeff Bezos, and, you know, these are things that people are trying to solve with money. But I'm going to come back to this video. I'm going to do a part 2. This is part 1. I'm going to come back to this video. This is halfway. But, yeah, I want to see people's opinions in the comments. And the truth of the matter is I need to charge my camera. And then I'm going to do a part 2. Peace.